born Gallagher. Social introductions made. Ladies and gentlemen of excellent families introduced under the best of most reasonable circumstances, under an atmosphere of elegance and refinement. Now, I will not be able to give my lightning services as today, as I've been engaged in finding a second wife for Mr. Horace Vandergelder. And you know, all these people that meet, that I introduce them, you know why I introduce them. It's so that they can have matrimony. But I won't be able to do it today because I'm going to Yonkers to get a second wife for Horace Vandergelder. So I won't be able to. However, I will do my very best to see that you are, that you are carried across someone's threshold before the week is out. Now, did I also mention that I'm available for financial planning, for guitar and mandolin instruction, for short distance hauling, and for varicose veins reduced.
Call on Dolly. She's the one that Spencer's recommend. Just take the kind of man your sister. Once she'll snatch him up, don't forget to bring her in, and she'll match him up. Call on Dolly.
Mrs. Levi!
Oh, Mr. Kemper, the artist.
Mrs. Levi, the train for Yonkers leaves in 5 minutes, and if we don't get there on time...
Oh, but we will, Mr. Kemper, not to worry. Not only will we get to Yonkers, but Horace Vandergelder will give permission for you to marry his niece. And not only will he give you permission to marry his niece, but he will dance at your wedding, and not alone, because I've been engaged to find him a suitable second wife, which really what he needs is someone to keep his house clean. Yes, and as my late husband, Ephraim Levi always said, you know, marriage is a bribe. It makes a housekeeper think she's a householder.
I know all about it, Mrs. Levi. Half New York says he's going to propose to Mrs. Irene Malloy this very afternoon.
Which is exactly why I'm going there this morning, Mr. Kemper, so I can take on your case, and then I'll be able to knock off 4 lovebirds with 1 stone, or whatever it is I decide to throw this time. I don't know. Oh no, now will you look at this? Why, all I have here to pay for the train fare are large bills, 5s and 7s.
I have some change here somewhere. I only hope this isn't a wild goose chase, Mrs. Levi.
Oh, and speaking of poultry, did I also mention that I'm available for fresh Jersey eggs and for surgical corsets reboned, for ears pierced, and for pierced ears replugged.
Mrs. Levi!
Yes, Mrs. Kemper.
Once she'll snatch him up, don't forget to bring him in, and she'll match him up. Call on Dolly.
Tell me, Mrs. Levi, what's in all this for you?
Oh, a living, Mr. Kemper. Why, some people paint, some sew, I meddle. I have always been a woman who arranges things for the pleasure and the profit it derives. I have always been a woman who arranges things like furniture and daffodils and lives. When a man with a timid tongue meets a girl with a diffident air, why should the tortured creatures beat around the bush when heaven knows Mother Nature always needs a little push? So I put my hand in there. I put my hand in there. I have always been a woman who arranges things. It's my duty to assist the Lord above. I have always been a woman who arranges things like luncheon parties, poker games, and love. My aplomb with cosmetic arts She took Trump to a Trump lady fair. She had a countenance a little bit like Scrooge, but oh, today you would swear the heavens above applied to rouge. I put my hand in there. So I put my hand in here. I twist a little, turn a little, him a little, her a little, mold, shape a little, mold a little. Some young chap gets sold a little when I use my fist a little. Some young bride gets kissed a little, pressure with my thumbs. Matrimony comes when I put my hand in there.
Mrs. Levi!
Yes, Mr. Kemper, I know. The train's getting ready to leave. Now, you go buy the tickets, get us a window seat, and order lunch. I'll meet you on board. Ephraim, I'm getting married again. I'm marrying Horace Levi. I'm marrying Horace Vandergelder for his money. And I'm spreading it out to all the people, just like rainwater, the way you taught me. And I need a sign from you today that you approve. Now, it won't be a marriage in the sense that you and I had one, but I know I can make him happy. And I'm tired, Ephraim. I'm tired of living from hand to mouth. So, I need that sign. I want that
Mrs.
sign.
Levi!
Oh, Mr. Kemper, we'll make the train, we'll get to Yonkers, and you will marry Ermengarde. Just leave everything to me.
Dang, nabbit and tarnation! I'd expect you to practice Yonkers my Yonkers with all that bellowing in my ears.
I can't help it, Uncle. I love Ambrose Camper.
And I say you're too young to be in love. Here, take this.
I'm not too young. I'm 17. And in another year, I'll be an old maid.
Dare to be an old maid, Ermengarde, and I'll cut you off without a cent. Now don't cry in front of the store.
I can't help it. I'm unhappy.
Well, you can go weep for a while in New York where it won't be noticed. Now, go get your trunk packed and don't get any tears on the lock. It was just oil. Cornelius, Barnaby! I did. Now, I'm going to New York this afternoon, and when I come back, you're going to have a mistress. But aren't you young, Mr. Vandergelder? Not you, tarnation. I mean me. I mean mine. I mean, I'm getting married again. Now, in honor of that, I am promoting you, Cornelius Hackle, to chief clerk.
And what am I now, Mr. Vandergelder?
You're an impertinent fool is what you are now. And I'm promoting you from impertinent fool to chief clerk. Any questions?
Yes.
What?
Does chief clerk get one evening off a week?
Oh, that's how you thank me for your promotion, is it? No, you'll attend to the store as usual. Now, get back to work and don't forget to put a lid on the sheep dip. Evenings off, marrying artists, foolishness. 99% of the people in this world are fools. The rest of us are in danger of contamination. Now, I'll admit that I was once young, which was foolish, and I was married, which was foolish, and I was poor, which is more foolish than anything else. Then my wife died, which was foolish of her. But I grew older, which was sensible of me, and I grew rich, friendless, and mean, which in Yonkers is about as far as you can go. Now, I know you're asking yourself, why would someone with so much good sense decide to do anything as foolish as get married again? Well, I'll tell you. This house, without a woman in it, is an empty shell. Kind of dirty, too. It takes a woman all powdered in pink to joyously clean out the drain and the sink. And it takes an angel with long golden lashes and soft Dresden fingers for dumping the ashes. Yes, it takes a woman, a dainty woman, a sweetheart, a mistress, a wife. Oh yes, it takes a woman, a fragile woman, to bring you the sweet things in life. The frail young maiden who's constantly there for washing and bluing and shoeing the mare. She's a joy and treasure for setting the table. For whom can you turn when the plumbing is leaking? To the woman, a dainty woman, a sweetheart, a mistress, a wife. Oh yes, it takes a woman, a fragile woman, to bring you the sweet things in life. And so she'll work until infinity. 3 cheers for family. Rah, 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 F-E-M-I-T-Y. F-E-M-I-T-Y? Get out of here! And in the winter, she'll shovel the ice and joyously set out the traps for the mice. She's a joy and treasure for setting the table. Whom can you turn when the plumbing is leaking? To
That dainty woman, that fragile woman, that sweetheart, that mistress, that wife. Oh yes, it takes a woman,
a husky woman, to bring you the sweet things in life. Oh yes, it takes a woman, a dainty woman, a sweetheart, a mistress, a wife. Oh yes, it takes a woman, a fragile woman, to bring you the sweet things in life. What are you doing? Get back to work! Saw that.
Congratulations, congratulations, 1,000 congratulations.
What?
Congratulations, Mr. Vandergelder. Why, all New York is abuzz that you are about to propose to Irene Malloy. The streets are lined with young, eligible women, prostrate with grief. Well, congratulations and sympathy.
Sympathy?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did I say that? No, I didn't mean that. Actually, I was very happy to hear the news that she's getting married. She was rather difficult to unload. But you know that what people said, well, the rumors, but I never thought anything about them.
Rumors? What rumors?
Oh, well, you understand. Nothing to get worried about, but by all known fact, her first husband passed away quite naturally. Yes, it's just that it was so sudden. I mean, just 1 or 2 spoonfuls of the chowder that she made especially for him, and poof, what could have happened to anyone. Now, just a word of advice, Mr. Vandergelder, eat out.
Do you mean to say that Mrs. Malloy...
I don't mean to say anything at all. Just a little friendly advice. Stay away from the chowder.
Now, you introduced me to her.
No. That's all right. I understand. And I wish you and Mrs. Malloy all the wonderful thoughts that you could have. And I wish you happiness, and may you rest in, may guardian angels watch over you, especially at dinner time.
Now, you introduced me to Mrs. Malloy, and like it or not, I plan on keeping my appointment with her this afternoon as scheduled.
Very well. Then there's nothing left for me to do but to go back to New York and tell the other girl, the heiress, that she need not wait.
Excuse me, what was that? What did you say?
Just the word, heiress.
Particulars, Mrs. Levi. I demand particulars. Her name.
Her name. Her name, Money. Ernestina Money.
What a wonderful name.
Picture, if you will, Mr. Vandergelder. Hair as shiny as new minted dimes. Eyes as big around as dollars, silver dollars. Oh, yes, and skin as soft and mossy as old greenback.
You feel her now.
Yes, age 19. Weight 102. Waist 47.
47?
That's with the money belt.
Oh.
Yes, with the money belt. Yes. Now, I could arrange for you to meet this Miss Money this very afternoon.
I ain't got time for this, Mrs. Levi. I've got to get Ermengarde to New York so she forgets a certain Ambrose Kemper.
Oh, let me handle that for you, Mr. Vandergelder. I know how to handle things like that.
Well, then I'm marching in the 14th Street Parade.
Guess who's been asked to ride on the main float? The spirit of 14th Street. Ernestina Money.
All right, I'll meet this Miss Money, but I still intend on keeping that appointment with Mrs. Malloy as scheduled.
Oh, goodness. What races you make me run, Mr. Vandergelder? All right. I'll meet you in front of Mrs. Malloy's place at 2:30 sharp, right there on the bench as planned.
Now, one other thing. Suppose I don't ask Mrs. Malloy, and I don't like this Miss Money neither. What then?
Oh, not to worry. I have one more name on my list. A name I know as well as my own. But let's not worry about that right now. No, that will come up in due time. Just wait till you see Ernestina. Oh, Horace, the vision, the dream.
It takes a woman. Da, 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 da.
It takes a woman. Da, 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 la, da, 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 da. Horace. That was Horace. Ephraim. I think I'm going to have that room redone in blue wallpaper. Yeah, blue. Ermengarde, Ambrose, I'm coming in. We've got plans to make.
Chief clerk. Promoted from chief clerk to chief clerk. And if I'm good, in 10 years, I'll be promoted to chief clerk again. 33 years old, not one evening off a week. When am I going to begin to live?
You could live on holidays, Cornelius.
Do you forget what happened last Christmas? All those tomato cans went bad and exploded, and you and I had to spend the afternoon cleaning it up. Do you call that living?
No.
Barnaby, you and I are going to New York.
You mean close the store?
Uh-huh.
Cornelius, we can't.
We'll have to. Some more rotten tomato cans are going to explode.
Holy cabusses, how do you know?
We're gonna light these candles under them, that's how I know. It'll make this place smell so bad that customers won't be able to come into the place for 24 hours. That'll give us an evening off. We're going to New York, Barnaby, and we're gonna live. We're gonna have a good meal. We're gonna be in danger. We're gonna spend our money, and we're gonna be arrested.
Holy cabusses.
And one more thing. We're not coming back to Yonkers until we've each kissed a girl.
Cornelius, you can't do that. You don't know any girls.
I'm 33 years old. I've got to begin sometime.
I'm only 17, Cornelius. It isn't so urgent for me.
New York, Barnaby. The lights of Broadway, elevated trains. A stuffed whale at Barnum Museum.
Stuffed what?
A stuffed whale, what do you say?
Yes, Cornelius, yes.
Very first thing we need is to make you financially independent. I know, I'll get you a job. Do you dance?
I'm an artist, Mrs. Levi. I paint.
Oh, well, here, my card.
Mrs. Dolly Levi, painters taught how to dance?
Now, there's a restaurant on 14th Street, the Harmonian Gardens Restaurant. I'll give you a note. You go there. There's a man named Rudolph Reisenweber. Give him the note, and we'll see if he can enter you in the dance contest tonight. Now, the winners have a week's engagement, and they win a solid gold cup. Oh, the cups we won at the meet.
Wait a minute, Mrs. Levi. No fiancé of mine is gonna set foot in a cafe. And I don't mind saying, I'm surprised you have acquaintances in a place like that.
Oh, not acquaintances, Mr. Kemper. Friends, dear friends from days gone by. Why, even my husband, Ephraim Levi, he believed in life wherever he could find it. In the opera, at the theater, in restaurants. Even when days were bad, every week, like clockwork, down the steps of the Harmonia Garden restaurant we would go, Ephraim and me.
Well, it's all very well to come down as clockwork, Mrs. Levi, but you're asking Ermengarde to work then.
It's the only way we can convince Horace Vandergelder that we mean business. Now, go to the Harmonia Gardens restaurant. Tell them Mrs. Levi sent you. And then find Rudolph. Tell him that Dolly's back, and I want a table for two and a roasted chicken for tonight at 8 o'clock. Okay, come on, dear, let's go. It'll be all right.
All right, Cornelius. The bottom row looks all right. Now hold the candle under the ones on top. Not too close, they look like they're ready to pop. Oh, look at Bruce's. I can smell it out here.
Come on, Barnaby. We're going to New York. Out there, there's a world outside of Yonkers. Way out there beyond this hick town, Barnaby. There's a slick town, Barnaby. Out there, full of shine and full of sparkle. Close your eyes and take a listen, Barnaby. Listen, Barnaby. Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there. Put on your brilliantine and dime cigars. For I can find adventure in the evening air. Girls in white with a perfume light, where the lights are bright as the stars. Put on your Sunday clothes, we're gonna ride through town in one of those new horse-drawn open cars. We'll see the shows at Delmonico's, and we'll close the town in a whirl. And we won't come home until we've kissed a girl.
Put on your Sunday clothes when you feel down and out. Spread down the street and have your picture took. Dress like a dream, your spirit seems to turn around. That Sunday shine is a certain sign that you feel as fine as your love. Beneath your parasol, the world is all a smile. That makes you feel brand new down to your toes. Get out your feathers, your pads and leathers, your beads and buckles and bows. For there's no blue Monday in your Sunday clothes.
Come on, Barnaby. The lights of Broadway elevated train.
Oh, look at Bruce's.
Stuffed whale at Barnum's Museum.
Wow.
Put on your Sunday clothes when you feel down and out. Spread out the street and have your
tilt your nose. Get out your slickers, your flannel knickers, your red suspenders and hose. For there's no room Monday in your Sunday clothes.
Ermines are just stippling. Don't cry on the valises. Stick with me and you'll get your reward. Lovely, you're improving. Now get all 11 pieces. We're 7 minutes late. All aboard!
Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there. Put on your cravat and patching shoes. Ride the wheel adventure in the evening air. To Temple Trot, to a smoky spot where the girls are hot as a fuse. Round your arm silk hat and at the turn of come, where handmade grace made buzzing love. We'll join the Astors at Tony Masters, and this our positive love that we won't come home. That we won't come home. That we won't come home until we fall in love.
Oh dear, oh my! 10 o'clock and the shop not opened yet. Oh, it's all because of that impending marriage, I tell you. What marriage? Why, I thought you knew. Why, the marriage Mrs. Dolly Levi's arranging between Mr. Horace Vandergelder, the well-known Yonkers half a millionaire, and my employer and friend, Mrs. Irene Malloy. Although, if you ask me, he'll never take the place of her late husband, Mr. Peter Malloy. May he rest in peace. Wherever he is, I'm not sure. He was a caution, you know. Oh, it's all too much, what with new husbands and late marriages, and on top of everything else, Miss Mortimer returning this house for the 3rd time. Same old story, she wants more cherries and feathers, to give to Beau, I suppose. Although, if you ask me, she'd do better with a nice heavy veil. Oh, I told her, ribbons down our back is what we'll be wearing this summer if we want to catch a gentleman's eye. But she'd have none of it. Cherries and feathers she wants. And on today of all days, when that poor dear sweet Mrs. Malloy has enough on her mind. What with what, Minnie? With the door. It's stuck. Stuck? Yes. Then push. Right. What? Well, and as I was saying, Mrs. Malloy, well, I could bite my tongue for the things I've said and for the things I'm going to say. But as long as I've gone this far, I may as well go all the way. Mrs. Malloy, why? Say it, Minnie. Why have I decided to marry Horace Vandergelder? Oh, Mrs. Malloy, I didn't ask you that. Why, I'd rather die on the rack than ask you such a personal question. But as long as you did bring it up. I am marrying Horace Vandergelder for one reason and one reason alone, Minnie. To get away from the millinery business. I hate hats. Mrs. Malloy! And I can no longer stand being suspected of being a wicked woman with nothing to show for it. But Mrs. Malloy! Don't protest, Minnie. All millineresses are suspected of being wicked women. That's why I can't go to restaurants or balls or theaters. That's all the proof they need. Take my word for it, Minnie. Either I marry Horace Vandergelder or I break out of this place like a fire engine. Oh, no. Not Miss Mortimer again. Miss Mortimer, I'll take care of it. No, Minnie. Leave it be. You make another hat for Miss Mortimer if you like. I'm wearing this one myself. But Mrs. Malloy, you can't! Why, you're a widow, and that hat, well, it's provocative, that's what. Is it, Minnie? Well, who knows who may walk into the shop today? And provocative may be just what I want to be. Oh, Mrs. Malloy!
my share of love, and I'm not saying I was shortchanged. Once is enough for a woman if it's true love, and it was that. Minnie, look! There are two men staring at the shop. Men? I do believe they mean to come in here. Men? In the shop? Oh, Mrs. Malloy, what shall we do? Do? Why, flirt with them, of course. I'll give you the short one.
Oh, Mrs. Malloy, you with all that talk about love.
Love enough I've had, Minnie. It's a bit of adventure I could do with now. We'll get them all heated up and then we'll drop them cold. It'll be good practice for married life. Now you go into the workroom, Minnie. A bit of weight will only make them nervous and easier for us to...
If you say vampire, I'll scream.
Vampire! Oh, Minnie, we'll get an adventure out of this yet.
We'll get an adventure out of this yet, Barnaby. All day long we wander around New York and nothing happens. And then we come to the quietest street in the city and suddenly... Vandergilder! Is he still out there? Well, look.
He's sitting on that bench, Cornelius. Are you sure this is an adventure?
You don't have to ask, Barnaby. When you're in one, you'll know it, all right. How much money do we have left?
Not much. 40 cents for the train, 30 cents for dinner, and 20 cents to see the whale. 90 cents. Why?
When those ladies come back, we'll have to pretend to be customers. Customers, that's it. Maybe the best thing for us to do is pretend that we're rich. That way we don't have to spend any. We're just two gentlemen about town looking for some hats for ladies. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Malloy?
Here, Cornelius. Hackle.
Here, Barnaby Tucker.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Now, what can I do for you,
Oh, we're just
we're
two ladies about
ladies,
town
you
looking
wanted
for
a
hats for
lady?
Malloy with
Well,
us. You want a hat? For a lady, of course. And everyone says to come to Mrs. Malloy because she's so pretty. I mean, her hats are so pretty.
It's so reasonable, Cornelius. As reasonable as under $1. Still, that's enough to see the whale.
You'll have to pay him no mind, ma'am. He's come all the way from Yonkers to see the whale, and he's just all excited.
So excited.
Just go by the window, Barnaby. Maybe you'll see it pass by.
Is it big black with mean little red eyes?
Yes.
It's sitting on that bench.
Excuse me, but did you say Yonkers, Mr. Hackle?
Yes, Yonkers. And forgive me for saying so, but you should see Yonkers. I mean, maybe Mr. Malloy would like to see Yonkers.
Oh, I'm a widow, Mr. Hackle.
You are? Barnaby, see... Oh, that's too bad. I'm sure Mr. Malloy would have enjoyed Yonkers. Especially in that hat. On you, of course, not Mr. Malloy. May he rest in peace. You're Catholic, aren't you? Oh, don't let that bother you. I'd be willing to change. Mrs. Malloy, if you should have our Sunday free in the near future, I'd be more than willing to show you Yonkers from top to bottom.
Well, as a matter of fact, Mr. Hackle, I might be there sooner than you think.
Oh, really?
You see, I have a friend who lives in Yonkers.
Do you?
Perhaps you know him.
Perhaps we do.
Oh, it's always so foolish to ask in cases like that, isn't it? It's Mr. Vandergelder.
Horace Vandergelder?
A Vandergelder's hay and feet?
Do you know him?
No!
Mr. Vandergelder's a substantial man and well-liked, they tell me.
A lovely man, Mrs. Malloy, just lovely. He's only got one fault, as far as I know. He's hard as nails.
Cornelius.
Now, I wonder if your friend might like this one.
Look out! Begging your pardon, Mrs. Malloy, you...
Gentlemen,
Help us, Mrs. Malloy, we'll explain later.
doing? Come out of there this minute!
Where is it? Is it going to be Miss Malloy?
Mr. Hackle, Mr. Tucker, you both come out of there this minute or I'll be forced to... Oh, Mr. Vandergelder.
I don't suppose you've seen Mrs. Levi, have you? She was supposed to meet me out on that bench 10 minutes ago, and when I make an appointment, I expect it to be kept. Oh, a gift for you. Chocolate-covered peanuts, unshelled. That's the expensive kind. Did I just see you speaking with two men?
Men? Men, Mr. Vandergelder? What would men be doing in a lady's hat shop? Well, now let's go into my workroom. I'm so anxious for you to see it.
I saw it last week.
So you did. Well, Mr. Vandergelder, what's new in the hay and feed business? I'm sure I hear you have 3 friends all hard as nails. I mean,
What are you talking about?
Yonkers. I hear it's a very beautiful city.
And who's been talking to you about Yonkers, may I ask?
Nobody. A friend.
What friend?
Well, you see, he...
He?
Yes, a customer, Mr. Vandergelder. Someone quite well-to-do, as a matter of fact. He was in here buying hats for ladies. You might even know him, although it's usually silly to ask in cases like that, isn't it? It's a Mr. Cornelius Hackle.
Did you say Hackle?
Why, yes.
He happens to be my chief clerk. I demand an explanation, Mrs. Malloy.
Oh, and I'm going to give it to you. Why shouldn't you know Cornelius Hackle? Why, everyone in New York knows Cornelius Hackle. He's here at the opera. He's at the famous houses. Why, he's at the Harmonian Gardens restaurant 3 times a week.
Impossible. He's only got $146.35, and I keep it in my own safe.
Mr. Vandergelder, you're killing me. Why, he's the talk of New York. He's one of the Hackles. Why, they built the canal.
What canal?
The
Panama.
Both.
Impossible. It's not the same man, I tell you.
Uh-oh, the same man. Who took the horses out of Jenny Lynn's carriage and pulled her through the streets of New York? Cornelius Hackle. And who dressed up like a waiter at the Fifth Avenue Hotel and dropped an oyster down Mrs. Astor's, well, I can't say. But anyway, it was Cornelius. Why, he's a playboy of all New York. Now, Irene, don't deny it. I could see it in your eyes. You were taken with him just like everybody else.
Dolly, I've only met him once in my life, really.
No.
Of course.
You've known him. I mean, he's such a playboy. All through New York. There's a man in there. Oh,
Is there a man in that couple? No man that hides in ladies' cupboards can frighten me.
No man indeed. What? Oh, I'm sure you could make mincemeat of any man you met. But those
Stand aside, Mrs. Levi.
stand indeed, Mr. Vandergelder. Yes, and what are the courts going to say when you've been charged with entering a cupboard without a search warrant? And what do you stand for, Mr. Vandergelder, if it isn't for the laws of this great land? I know that's what I stand for, and I know that there could not possibly be a man in this cupboard.
Achoo!
God bless you.
Mrs. Malloy?
All right, Mr. Vandergelder. There is a man in that cupboard.
Aha!
And another under that table.
What the devil?
There also happens to be a very simple explanation, but for the present, good afternoon.
Oh, the whole room's crawling with men. I'll never get over this. I assume I'll meet you later this afternoon, Mr. Vandergelder?
Yes, you will at the end of the parade with a certain young lady on a certain float. Mrs. Malloy, good day.
Mrs. Malloy, I can explain everything.
I don't wish to hear any explanations from you, Mr. Hackle. Just you and Mr. Tucker do me the pleasure of leaving my hat shop at once, or I send for Officer Gogarty.
Oh, Irene, I think sending for an officer of the law is a bit too good for these gentlemen. Yes, the court's law, that's where they belong. Now, I've been listening, and since I've been here, why, I have counted at least 2 writs, 1 non-compos mentis, and 2 garnishes. Now, the thing you must do is prove that you have tried to settle it amicably first. Have dinner with them.
Dinner?
Is dinner absolutely necessary, Dolly?
I'm sorry, Irene. That's the way it's done nowadays with the law. Dinner first, garnishee afterwards.
Well, if it must be, Mr. Hackle, Mr. Tucker, you may take Miss Fay and myself to dinner.
Delighted, Mrs. Malloy. I speak for Barnaby, too. Now, I hear there's a very lovely restaurant in the railroad station.
Oh, no, Mr. Hackle. If the Harmonic Gardens restaurant is good enough for your fashionable friends, then it's good enough for us. They say they have a lovely orchestra there, Minnie.
We can't go there. It's not the money or anything. It's the...
Oh, it's the whale.
It's the whale. No, it's not the whale. It's dancing. You see, they have dancing in places like that, and exhibitions and contests, and I don't know how, and it would take me weeks, months, years to learn. Mrs. Dolly Levi, 33-year-old chief clerk, taught how to dance.
Now, just put 1 hand here and 1 hand
There's no
here.
use. I have no sense of rhythm.
absolutely no sense of rhythm is one of the primary requirements for learning under the Gallagher-Levi method. Just give me 5 minutes of your time, Mr. Hackle, and I'll have you dancing in the street. Now, take your right hand on her waist and stand. With her right in your left hand, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Look! I'm dancing! Well, I was.
Of course you were. Now, take the one whose arms you're in. Hold on to her tight and spin. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Look! I'm dancing!
All right. Okay. Turn around, try floating through the air. Could you be a little more aesthetic?
Don't you think my dancing has a polish and a flair?
I think the word I'd use is athletic.
Well, my heart is about to burst, and my head is about to pop. And now that we're dancing, who cares if I ever stop? I'm Billy Tackle Sport. I'm dancing.
You're next, Mr. Tucker. Glide and step and then step and glide.
And everyone, stand aside.
Yes. Oh, you could learn the polka if you worked a week or two, or the tango with its passion seething.
I might join the course at the Castle Garden show.
Whatever you do, don't forget, just keep breathing. While my heart is about to burst, my head is about to pop. And now that we're dancing, who cares if we ever stop? When there's someone you hardly know and wish you were closer to, remember that he can be near to you while you're dancing. Though you've only just said hello.
spirits will hit the top. And now that we're dancing, who cares if we ever stop? 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And now that we're dancing, who cares if we ever stop?
Well, well, look who it is, Mrs. Levi. How are you, Mrs. Levi?
How are you, Mrs. Rose?
The same. Pains in my back, aches in my side, stabs in my liver. I'm fine. My daughter Fanny got married, you know.
Oh, no. I didn't know.
A year ago, last September. It's been a long time since you've been here, Mrs. Levi. Such a long, long time.
It's been long enough. Let me go, Ephraim. Every night for all these years, I'd put out the cat, I'd lock the door, I'd make myself a little rum toddy. And then every night, I'd say my prayers, and I'd thank the good Lord for my independence, that no one else's life was mixed up with mine. Then one night, an oak leaf fell out of my Bible. I put it there the night you asked me to marry you, Ephraim. A perfectly good oak leaf, but without color and without life. And that's when I realized that I was like that oak leaf. For years I hadn't shed one tear, nor had I had that warm feeling inside that something or other good might happen. So, I've decided to re-enter the human race. And Ephraim, I want you to give me away. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna get in step while there's still time left. Before the parade passes by.
Hi. Come along. Cornelius is taking us to see the 14th Street Parade. Everybody will be marching.
Oh, Irene, you're crying.
Oh, Dolly, the world is full of such wonderful things.
Yes, it is. Here, you have that.
Come with us, Dolly.
I will, Irene. I will. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna go and taste Saturday's high life. Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna get some life back into my life. I'm ready to move out in front. I've had enough of just getting by life. With the best of them, with the rest of them, I can hold my head up high. For I've got a goal again, I've got to drive again. I'm gonna feel my heart come alive again before the parade passes by. Look at that crowd over there. Listen and hear that brass harmony crowing. Look at that crowd over there. Pardon me if my old spirit is showing. All of those lights over there seem to be telling me where I'm going. When the whistle blows and the cymbals crash and the tigers light the sky, I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old guitar before the parade passes by.
Passes by. Say, hear that brass harmony going. When the parade passes by. Pardon me if my old spirit is showing.
looked at this parade beginning to end, and I ain't seen no Miss Money on no Spirit of 14th Street float.
Nothing to get worried about, Mr. Vandergelder. She had a sudden urgent meeting at the Mint. They ran a little low, and she decided to help them out a bit. But not to worry. She has agreed to meet with you at the Harmonian Gardens restaurant at 8 o'clock tonight.
That's the most expensive restaurant in the city.
As indeed it should be. Why, the food and the fastest waiters in all of New York. Oh, and wait now. I said I might be a little late, so Miss Money agreed to meet you in front of the restaurant. Oh, and wait till you see her, Horace. She'll be dressed with a chartreuse sash across her dress. Oh, she'll be lovely. You can't miss her. You won't be able to miss her.
I'll meet her, but only because I've already paid for the introduction, and I'm going to get my money's worth. But from this point on, Dolly Gallagher, you are hereby discharged as my marriage broker. Is that clear?
Yes.
From this moment on, you're a woman just like anyone else.